Welcome back to the History Coach. All right, today we're going to continue our AP World History curriculum, and we are going to start with Unit 3, the land-based empires from 1450 to 1750. You'll find the readings in your AMSCO book, if you are using that, on pages 141 to 185. Now, you could see in this unit from 1450 to 1750, we have now shifted, okay, from 1200 to 1450. So this is really our second phase of our curriculum. Empires expand is the key word that I'm looking at in this unit, okay? We look at the imperial expansion that relied on gunpowder weapons, huge cannons, armed trade. We're going to be talking about empires and dynasties like the Manchu Empire, the Mughal Empire in India, the Ottoman Empire, huge, okay? And the Safavid Empire, Russia, the Songhai Empire, and we'll talk about their political structures, okay? Religious structures, religious disputes that ended up leading to rivalries, conflict, and eventual downfall. We're going to cover empires and how they administered power throughout these large areas of land. Now remember, if you are conquering through cannons and weaponry, okay, it's important to know that this new vast empire that you're conquering and their peoples are going to be vast. They're going to be diverse. You're going to have a mixture of cultures, religions, ideologies. So how do you maintain a semi-peaceful structure when it comes to this vast empire of varying beliefs, ideologies, cultures, and so forth, okay? We're going to focus on Devshmir systems. We're going to look at the samurai and the role that they played. Religious ideas, with Mexico, human sacrifice, the European divine right, okay? The impact of Islam, okay? But most importantly, we're going to cover art, monumental architecture. We're going to look at portraits. We're going to look at the Incan Sun Temple. All right, we're going to look at the European Palace of Versailles, huge. All right, but you also administer power of vast regions through tax collection. All right, systems in the Mughal Empire, such as the Zamindar system, the Ottoman tax farming, the Mexico tribute system, Ming taxes in currency. And then we're going to move on into, all right, the empire's belief systems. We're going to take a look at the Protestant Reformation, okay? That was the split between Christianity, between the Protestants and Catholics. We're going to look at political rivalries, okay, within the Safavid Empire and how it intensified between the Sunnis and Shias. We're going to look at Sikhism that developed in South Asia in a context of interactions between Hindus and Islam. Important key terms we're going to have to cover, okay? 10 of them. Istanbul, the fall of Constantinople, Safavid, Battle of Panipat. We're going to have to dive into what Shia and Sunni Islam is all about, the Bakufu, Romanov family, St. Petersburg, the samurai, and the Ottomans versus the Safavids. So, topic 3.1, empires expand. Gunpowder played a pivotal role in the formation and expansion of several key empires, often referred to as the Gunpowder Empire. These empires included the Ottomans, like I said before, the Mughals, Safavids, and the Qing dynasty in China were among the first to extensively employ gunpowder weapons on a large scale. I'm talking about gigantic cannons. They really distinguished themselves from their predecessors and contemporaries. Now, gunpowder played an initial role, but then significant role as these empires started to expand. These empires needed technical expertise and resources, such as skilled metal workers for weaponry. And the production capabilities for these gunpowder empires were astronomical. Training soldiers in the use of these new weapons also demanded substantial investment from these bureaucracies, which large empires were better positioned to afford. Even smaller entities like the Tokugawa shogunate in Japan allowed their success to carefully deploy gunpowder technology. Historically, the Song dynasty in China pioneered early gunpowder empires, and weapons, but it was the Islamic empires and the Qing China that utilized them more extensively. Look at this. Examples included Ottoman capture of Constantinople and Malta, the Qin conquests in Central Asia, both facilitated by the strategic use of gunpowder. Now, remember, like I said before, when you're conquering a large and vast territory, you now have the option to control trade and taxes. So this is a form of diplomacy that will only benefit your newly established empire in this conquered region. So beyond military prowess, these empires leveraged, like I said, trade and tax policies to consolidate power and attract wealth big time. The Ottomans and Mughals in particular adopted friendly stances, all right, towards merchants and reduced taxes compared to previous regimes. For instance, the Mughal abolished the jizya tax. This was the tax on non-Muslims early in their empire, which helped foster stability. It helped foster economic growth. Now, similarly, the Ottomans maintained lower taxes compared to their Byzantine predecessors, which encouraged economic activity and contributed to the imperial strength. So think of the impact of the fall of Constantinople in 1453, a huge anchor date. Now, the Ottomans controlled the Silk Road. They controlled what went in and out. They could tax higher. They could truly understand the leverage that they had. So we see so many Greek and Eastern scholars from the Byzantine Empire flee west. You could see that also led to the emergence of the Renaissance. So the 1453 date is gigantic. When it came to the diplomatic efforts and the diplomatic stronghold the Ottomans had on trade all throughout Afro-Eurasia, and then eventually think of what that led to. It led to the age of exploration. Europeans cannot no longer travel through its geographical region of Constantinople or Istanbul. Now they had to find different sea routes. These strategies of embracing trade and reducing taxes not only enhanced economic prosperity, but it also played a crucial role in the political and cultural dynamics of these empires, positioning them as, like I said before, influential powers in their respective regions during peak periods. Throughout history, many empires have risen by toppling existing empires that had weakened over time. This pattern is evident, across various regions and in various eras, showcasing how imperial ambitions and internal dynamics, they shape the course of history. So we got to look at the types of conquest. One, established empires like the Byzantines, which had long been dominant in the area, were eventually overthrown by rising powers such as the Ottomans. Now, this transition often marked a significant shift in political, cultural, and religious landscapes. Now, nomadic conquerors, okay, descendants of nomadic conquerors, which usually came from Central Asia, such as the Timurids in Persia, they faced challenges from new dynasties like the Safavids. These transitions reflected the shift in governance styles and cultural influences as new rulers asserted control. And so you have the dynastic successions as well. Okay, these are all types of conquest. In cases like Yuan China, okay, which was overthrown by the Ming dynasty, we saw the rise of the White Lotus. We saw the oppression of the Mongol leaders in China at that time. You're going to start to see a lot of internal political struggles and eventually changes in leadership that played a vital role in the downfall, all right, and establishment of regimes. So you look at like what were some of the reasons for decline? Empires decline and fall for complex reasons, unique to its own situation. You have nomadic adaptation. To think that the Mongols adopted agriculture is insane. Okay, nomadic empires often struggled to maintain their military and cultural identities after settling into urbanized societies. Adaptation to local customs and governance practices could dilute their original strengths and strategic advantages. And then you have technological changes, all right, and adaptations of that time period. Remember, a key theme. I mean, the advent of gunpowder weapons shifted military tactics away from traditional strengths, such as cavalry based warfare. Nomadic empires, which historically excelled in mobile warfare, found themselves for the first time at a disadvantage as battlefield dynamics evolved. Now, understanding these dynamics, it helps illuminate the complexity of the imperial rise and fall, all right? Highlighting the interplay between military strength and cultural adaptations and the technological advantages that shaped the future course of history. Well, that was topic 3.1. If you enjoyed all of these topics that I'm covering in AP World History, please like and subscribe to the History Coach. See you later.